Well, what did you think of Creature Commandos? For me, I think the DC Universe is off to a pretty good start. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about the first 2 episodes, dive into a bit of a spoilerish review, we won't give away too much, and talk about this first chapter in James Gunn's new universe, what it brought us, what it cleared up, and where it's going. Well, earlier today, we got the first 2 episodes of Creature Commandos, and the new DC Universe has finally kicked off. Now, I'm going to be straight up with everybody. I think this new series is not going to be for everyone. It's lewd, it's very graphic, it's violent, and quite honestly, it's a bit horny. And it's 100% James Gunn. Now, quite honestly, when we found out about this project, it was pretty much a surprise that James Gunn was kicking off with this particular group of characters. But given his previous work on Guardians of the Galaxy, Suicide Squad, and Peacemaker, well, he seems right at home with the Commandos. So let's not waste any time and dive right in. Now, we'll start off with the technicalities, because the technicalities are all good. The series itself looks visually pretty darn great. The action is well paced, and the sound and voice acting land perfectly with the style they're trying to deliver. Now, the show itself does dive a little bit into sort of adultish content. Like I said, the show's a bit horny, and some of those scenes in animation, well, for some they might be off-putting, but they were definitely something new for not just the DCU, but for yours truly, because pretty much for me, the only time you ever saw that was an anime. Now, the ensemble cast itself is pretty darn good, and honestly, they're fun. The thing with shows like Creature Commandos is when you put a lot of characters in the show, you have to make sure you handle each arc right. And the show does a pretty good job starting off putting a couple of characters directly in the spotlight. Now, it's pretty clear to me that Frank Grillo's Rick Flag Sr. is going to carry the show, but based on these first 2 episodes and what we got about the Bride and Frankenstein, well, I feel like at this point, we're definitely going to get deep dives on each character, and more than likely, each episode will give us big reveals on all the cast. Now, the performances pretty much across the board were great, even for a bunch of actors that are mostly used to live-action projects. Honestly, Grillo and Varma are the standout characters, but Zoe Chow and Viola Davis always bring it, and with Sean Gunn and the legendary Alan Tudyk, I like everything he's in, and we can't forget David Harbour, well, nobody really misses the mark. Now, this is a James Gunn project, so there's obviously going to be one of those very carefully curated soundtracks and playlists. Gunn actually released a playlist the other day, and it definitely meets the tone of the show. Guardians of the Galaxy kind of leaned into old radio mixtapes, Peacemaker leaned into 80s metal, and with Creature Commandos, Gunn matches that old world setting with a fusion of European folk music and punk rock, which honestly is not something I'm very accustomed to, but definitely worked for the show. So, does the show work? Well, honestly, it does. James Gunn knows how to whip together a recipe of lovable weirdos and slap in some great music, lots of violence, and funny jokes, and all those land pretty well here. Now, it's in a totally new medium since it's animation, but as a first chapter in the new DCU, I think it's going to work for most fans, even though it can have some intentional immaturity that doesn't always quite pay off. Now, honestly, I'm giving both episodes an 8 out of 10. I want to give it room to improve, but the 2 episodes for me went by so fast, I need to circle back and watch them a few more times, because like they say, time flies when you're having fun, and they raced by. Now, we only have a week to wait for the next episode. They're going to be 1 per week till the series completes, and then the big wait for Superman starts, but hopefully when the series is over, we have a trailer for Superman, a clear path out of Creature Commandos, and we'll have fully set sail into the new DCU, which I know many of us fans have been waiting for, well, over 2 years. What do you guys think? Do you like the first episode of Creature Commandos? And does the more adultish nature of the show in animation work, or are all those sex scenes a little off-putting? Tell me what you think in the comments below. Now, I will say one thing about this show that really hasn't been a big part of anything else James Gunn has done in the superhero universe are the sex scenes. There are a couple of scenes that were pretty unexpected, and not gonna lie guys, in animation they caught me off guard. Now, they all serve the story pretty well, so they're not what I would call gratuitous, but for some fans they might not work, and again, this is definitely not a children's show. That should be apparent to many people, but since it's DC Studios, I want it reiterated because you're gonna feel uncomfortable if you're watching this with your 10-year-old. Now, before you take off, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, ring that bell for all the updates, and make sure you get every notification because we do daily Marvel and DC content and we don't want you to miss any news.